All right, what is up, guys? VV back with another video, and today we got some results from Knoxville, the most recent, large-scale tournament here in the West, the first major tournament of OP04. And we are going to focus a little bit on Rebecca, because for those who follow this channel, you know that has been a big focus for me. And we're going to look at three lists that made it into the top 32, and one list of the three made it 9-0 in the Swiss. And then we're going to talk about after how things went in top 32. But let's go ahead and go over the deck list real quick. So this first list here, this is by Alan Weislick, I guess is how you say the last name, Alan Weislick. This is a pretty straightforward list. However, there are two things that are kind of interesting to me that stand out right away. Only 3 Kairos and running 2 Cavendish. That is, that is something to think about. Other than that, the list was very straightforward. Well, I should say 2 Red Rock, because, typically you see like the 3,000 Worlds, but he's only running 1 3,000 Worlds and 3 Red Rocks. And still 3 True Bastardo, plenty of removal, lots of removal, and he's running 2 of the 10 cost Kuzans, 4 Luffys. So let me just run straight through the list, and then we'll talk about it. 4 Gats, 4 Sabo, 4 Orlumbus, 4 Bartolomeo, 3 Rebecca, 3 Red Rock, 3 Truno, 3 Kairos, 3 Leo, 4 Idio, 2 of the Kuzans, 1 of the 3,000 Worlds, 3 King Kong Gun, 3 Quarter Coliseum, 4 Luffys, and 2 Cavendish. Excellent, excellent list here. Very straightforward. The Red Rocks are a great call. The Red Rocks make so much sense in against just about anything, right? It can deal with a Whitebeard. It can deal with any of the 10 cost stuff from the other colors, like Big Mom, Dofi from green, and even Charlotte Linland from yellow, Dofi from green, and Kaido from blue, or even Mihawk if that's what they got. Yamato, if that's all they have. You guys get the point. Very nice list, and this person did well. Like I said, all of these lists we're gonna look at are top 32. Okay, so they got the job done, so to speak, right? They performed at a high level. What was I gonna say? I think this list is really strong, but I do think the next 2 lists are slightly more like, how do I say this? It's almost like as we go through the list, which we're going to look at here, the more simple the list was, I think the better it did. But again, we'll check that in a second. 8 2K counters we should talk about. The 4 Bartolomeo, 4 Gats. Everything else is very straightforward. It's running lots of blockers. 4 Sabo, 4 Idio, and then the 4 Bartolomeos double over as a blocker. So very clean list though. Overall, very clean list. Okay. Next up, this is Nolan Allen's list. This is, I mean, it does not get much more simplistic than this list here, right? We're talking 4 Rebecca, 4 Gats, 4 Leo, 4 Idio, 4 Kairos, 4 Bartolomeo, 4 Tashigi, 4 Orlumbus, 4 Sabo, 4 Luffy, 4 King Kong Gun, and then 3 and 3 of the Quarter Coliseum and the 3,000 Worlds. Not running True Bastardo, but really doubling over with the King Kong Guns. The last list only ran 3. This one runs 4. And this list, instead of running any other extra tech, they're just running 4 Tashigis. They're just running extra 2K counters. For example, the list we were just looking at, sorry, we got to zoom in on it like this. They're running the 2 Cavendish and 2 Kuzans. This person basically just said, yeah, we're not even going to get fancy. We're literally just going to run 4 Tashigis. The highest cost card is Luffy, and I have to say, I think this is the direction moving forward for the list. But we are going to talk more about how Rebecca performed overall at Knoxville in just a second. So hang with me. Next list. This is the list that went 9-0. This is Nicholas Nicholas Powell's list. Sorry. And again, this is just very, very straightforward. Keep it simple. Keep it on target, right? Just keep it focused in. And that's all it is. You got 4 Rebecca, 4 Gats, 4 Leo. Wait, did I say that right? Yeah, 4 Leo, yes. And then 3 Idio, 4 Tashigi, 4 Bartolomeo, 4 Kairos, 4 Orlumbus, 4 Sabo, 4 Luffy. And then basically all threes of the package down here. 3 Quarter Colosseums, 3 King Kong Guns, 3 3000 Worlds, and only 2 Truno Bastardos. These lists are both running the 12 2K counters. The 2 that are searchable for Dressrosa, Gats, and Bartolomeo, and then the 4 Tashigis. Same exact thing here with the Gats, Bartolomeo, and Tashigi. Yeah, this has got to be the way going forward. But we're going to talk about some things in just a second here. And they are running the 4 Kairos, the 4 Luffys. Again, it almost seems like, y'all hear me out here and tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. Dressrosa, Rebecca Blue-Black Dressrosa, it's almost built like an aggro deck. I'm not gonna lie. Like this does not feel like control to me personally. Like, yes, there's lots of removal. We get that. Like that's obvious. But you're just like, look at how small these characters are. You know, you literally just control the board, and then you OTK them with a Luffy or Kairos or Sabo or Lumbus, whoever you have to. But yeah, 12 2K counter seems to be like the sweet spot. All the Rebecca searchers, this is going to help your Lumbus. It's going to help you have another, more turn 1 to play, more options on turn 1. The Quarter Colosseums, and there's a 3 of for every single one of these for the Quarter Colosseum. That's got to be the right number there. And yeah, very solid list. The Tashigis look like they were really nice. Because, like I mentioned in the last video talking about Rebecca, it looks like they can easily just be a 2K counter. They're a 3-cost 4K that can -2 to something to help you KO stuff with your 3000 Worlds and your Truno Bastardos. And then on top of that, they're also just, if you use them, and activate main, you rest the characters to -2 to someone's cost for the turn. Now your opponent is probably going to attack into them, so it doubled over as an attacker as well for 3. It's like pay 3 block attack almost. Very good synergy. Yeah, but other than that, I did get to record 2 of the games by Nicholas Powell that we'll look at later. Like I said, this list went 9-0 in the Swiss. And let's talk about that real quick. I don't know what every matchup was. I don't know how to find it either. So if you know, by all means, link me something where I could check it out. But the 2 matches I saw Nicholas play, he played very well. But he played against a Whitebeard and he played against a Law. And Law and Whitebeard, we want that, right? Or Zoro. Zoro probably the least of the 3. But red decks are what the deck is meant to... Like, this was meant to be not a counter per se, but it definitely, a way to stop Whitebeard and the red cards. But now let's go ahead and talk about the top 32 here. So that was that was day 1, what we just looked at. Day 1 was the Swiss, where it was just, boom, first, trying to get into the top 32 so you can make it to day 2 and take place in a top cut tournament. Okay. This was the standings. We had 12 Newgates, 6 Law, 3 Crocodile, 3 Katakuri, 3 Rebecca. Those were, I would say that was the core of the tournament, was those 5. Those are probably the most represented. I mean, obviously the most represented here, but like they also seem to be the most solid. And then Zoro. I gotta mention there was 1 Zoro that made it through. We'll talk about that in a second. And then Doflamingo, Queen, and Luffy. This is a starter deck, black Luffy deck that made it into the top 32. Really, really cool stuff going on there. However, this next screen I'm going to show, this was the first round of the top 32 champion pro play games cut here, right, for Knoxville, for the Knoxville regional. This was to see who would be the champion, who would win. So it didn't matter so much that our Rebecca player went 9-0. It matters, but it also didn't matter as far as like winning the tournament. He went 9-0. However, he did unfortunately lose on round 1 up here against Chris Craw playing a Queen deck. And then, if you're wondering where our other 2 players are, here they are highlighted in red. Our other 2 Rebecca players also lost, but look what they lost to. Did I not do an entire video talking about this? Blue was going to be an issue. Yellow was going to be an issue. Well, look what we literally lost to in the final. Like, this is in like the top 32 bracket to make it to win the whole thing. Spoiler warning right now. This next slide is going to show you the rest of the tournament. So if you don't want to know who won, you need to back out now. But this is what happened afterwards. So the finals ended up being Zoro versus Whitebeard. You know, some pretty big names on here. Right, I think a lot of people know a lot of these names on here. But long story short, Red ends up winning out because look what Red played against. It only played against Red decks. Like it's so. And then and then it played against Katakuri. The Katakuri game, I really wish I could have seen that one. The Rohal versus William Craddock. That's Will to Win Gaming. For those who don't know, William Craddock is. He got second place. The winner was Law. Zorro. Excuse me. The winner was Zorro by Anthony M. Whatever his last name is, M. But I can tell you one thing. I can tell you one thing. All three of our Rebecca players would have loved to have been on this right side of the bracket over here. Like going against Zorro, going against Law. Or, excuse me, I said Zorro. Going against Whitebeard, going against Law. Like this bottom right bracket down here. Like I said, I think our Rebecca players would have loved to have been part of that bracket. But instead, they were part of the bracket with all the blue decks, the blue-yellow decks, and the yellow decks. And it just, I would say unlucky, because otherwise Rebecca would have had a very, very favorable chance of winning this tournament. Especially considering how well Nicholas was playing, and all of the, all the Rebecca players made it here for a reason. They're incredibly good players. But a lot of people are mentioning how, they probably dodged a lot of yellow and blue decks. Yeah, that's probably true. But, I don't have any disagreement or any qualms there. Like, yeah, that's correct. Yellow and blue is the weakness of the deck. And it's why I made the video talking about the issue. Talking about how we need more than just this to win. This list is absolutely pristine that Nicholas is running. It is clean. It is excellent. However, how does it do into the blue-yellow decks? And that becomes the balance we're going to have to face over here in the West. How are we going to modify this list slightly? Because it operates perfectly as is. Like these lists, I'm not even offering criticism for. They got top 32 in a massive tournament that had like almost 700 players in it, right? So these lists they're immaculate. They're excellent. However, where do we go? What do we do going forward when we run into problems like this right here, where we cannot beat Katakuri on a on anything better than a 50% basis or whatever, or Crocodile can squeeze one out, can sneak a win on us. Queen can sneak a win on us. It's and don't get me wrong, any deck can sneak a win on any deck. But I think y'all know what I'm saying, right? If there's any questions, comment in the comment section below, and I'll explain it better. But the bottom line is, Rebecca did so well. We had three showings in the top 32, and like you guys see the split here. Let me zoom in again. Like look, that's all Katakuri had. That's all Croc had. Doflamingo had 2. Queen only had 1. Zorro had 1, and Zorro only had 1 and won the entire tournament. And then the Black Luffy deck only had 1. So yeah, definitely something worth talking about. Now, looking forward, this is not bad news, right, guys? Like this is not bad news. If the more the more tournaments that Newgate and Law win, the redder the format becomes, and as a result, the better this deck becomes. Because this deck right here in particular, especially Nicholas's version of the deck, I actually like the most. I love how clean it is. I love the removal package as well. I in particular plan on making some modifications to the deck so that I can deal with more blue decks, green decks, and purple decks, and whatever decks. Because in my locals, a lot of people kind of run away from red because it's played so much. It kind of like turns people off from the game. You guys know what I mean. In locals, it's not always what you see in tournaments. It's more like people trying new things out, just trying to have fun and trying to, take their mind off that, all red tournament grind. But long story short, I probably will end up making this deck a little different, where I change out the 3,000 Worlds for Red Rocks. That's probably like the first change I would make for my locals right away. And I did think it was interesting going down to 3 Kairos, like how this first list did. Like, I wonder if we can get away with that, going down to 3 Kairos and 3 Leos, as opposed to the 4 and 4. And that would open up 2 more spots as well. Other than that, I think 12 2K counters is the spot. I think that's excellent. I am wondering if 4 Luffys are needed. But then again, they probably are, right? Because if blue is what I'm struggling with, they're going to bottom deck one of my Lufus right away, right? With a Red Rock or a Mihawk or a Kaido, whatever. Well, Kaido bounces, but you know what I mean. But yeah. Well, all right, guys, I think that's about it for this video. Tell me what you guys think. How unlucky is this, right? How unlucky. So, in other words, here's really what I'm saying. If red won out in every single one of these, and then blue, here we go. Here's what I should say. If Nicholas would have lost on his 9-0 game, he played against, I can't remember who it was. How would I tell? No, it wouldn't be this guy. He went against a Law. Maybe it's the guy over here on the top of, I actually don't know how the rankings work. I'm trying to see. He lost to a Law player, or he won against a Law player. Maybe it was this guy Joshua Graham. I'm not sure. Anyway, if someone knows, just tell me. But to go 9-0, he beat a Law player, and it looks very dominant for the Rebecca game, right? Like it was just like, wow, this is a very, very favorable matchup for Rebecca. But instead, look what every one of our Rebeccas went against: a Katakuri, a Crocodile, and a Queen. You know, what do you do? It happens. Never lucky. But that's okay. This was the first tournament. I do think it's a step in the right direction. Yes, I know Zoro won, Red won the first day of the OP04. And guess what? That's with all the restrictions in play. Remember, I had a video about that not too long ago talking about, did the restrictions matter? So far, not really. Because, in fact, it hurts our environment. Because of the fact that the restrictions are in play, people actually had the audacity, right? You know, I say that in a funny way. They had the nerve to try something other than these red decks that win, right? So that's where we see these Crocodiles pop up, these Katakuris popping up, the Queen popping up. And what does that do? That actually hits our Rebecca decks. That hurts our Rebecca decks. And our Rebecca decks have a favorable matchup against all this red stuff. So it actually, I think, did something worse to the format. That's just me personally. Don't get mad at me. Tell me if you agree or disagree. But I still think it's a step in the right direction for us as far as the tournaments go. I mean, think about it. In the top 32, we had, how many decks was it? Sorry to keep going back and forth with you guys. So 12 red, 6 red plus green, 3 blue here, 3 yellow, 3 blue black here, 2 blue, 1 blue yellow, 1 red, and 1 black. So ultimately, every color was represented. Purple, not as much, even though Doflamingo has a little bit of purple. The Don Quixote Doflamingo, the purple-green Doflamingo. But this is probably still the healthiest the format's been in a while. And in all fairness, there was only a single Zoro player, and he won. So it's not like, there were like 12 Zoros, so yeah, obviously Zoro won. No, there were actually 12 Newgates, and Newgate lost, right? There was one Zoro that made it through, and he won. 3 Rebeccas, 3 Crocodiles, 3 Katakuris. This is a trend in the right direction, right? If we could get the Newgates down to 6, and distribute that like all down here, we will have the healthiest format we've probably seen in the game, right? I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. What are y'all's thoughts on it? Again, I am a little bit sad that, I think the restrictions ultimately hurt Rebecca, so that's why I'm most mad at them. Are they a step in the right direction for the game? Yeah, probably. But for me personally, it hurts what I'm trying to play here. And a future video I'm going to have to come out with is really defining what is the rock, paper, scissors in this game? What are aggro decks and what are control decks in this game? What are mid-range decks? Because when I see, Rebecca was supposed to be this insanely cool control deck because on the leader's card, she draws a card, right? Or has the potential to draw a card cycling through the top 2. But it's like, I do not, and I understand every card game is different, but for me personally, this does not look like or feel like or play like a control deck does. And maybe that's because there's no big board clear removal spells in this game yet, or events, I guess is what they would be. But we'll have to see how things go in the future. I still haven't given up on Rebecca, especially after seeing how the deck did. It still did fine, all things considered. Making top 32 at a huge 700+ person tournament like this, that's a big deal. And honestly, it could have done even better if it didn't get unlucky matchups in the top 32. I mean, it might not have, right? But still, I I like Rebecca's matchup against Whitebeard, Zoro, and Law way better than I like the matchup against Katakuri, Crocodile, and Queen. Right? No brainer. Or how's about that black Luffy deck or the purple-green Dofi decks we saw? Stuff like that. But, all right, guys. So if you guys got any comments or anything that you want to leave below, by all means do. Final thoughts. This is where I think the direction of Rebecca's going. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you have not already. And until next time, guys, peace.